Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello and welcome to a new season of the Tuning In podcast. That's right, we are at season 2, episode 53. We have officially done this for a full year and we are moving on to season 2. So thank you so much for being a loyal listener. Thank you for the new listeners, and I'm so excited for all that we are covering in the next year. So I took 2 weeks off from recording the podcast, and it felt really appropriate. I was originally going to take 1 week off, but ended up choosing to take 2 weeks off before entering into this new season. And a lot has unfolded. So right before the last episode, I actually went out of town and I went to the beach and spent 12 days away. 12 days. I actually did spend, I think, 7 days away last August, but beyond that, I think it had been 3 years that I had been gone for more than like 4 or 5 days. So this vacation was truly a vacation because what I tend to do, John and I, we often go to the mountains, okay? We're in Colorado. We have a million beautiful places we can stay. However, we almost always bring our work. I work for myself, and John easily can work from home, and he's often writing papers, and he has a lot of work that he can do. Always. Like always and forever. And so we have this thing where we go out of town because, well, we can work. And even if I'm not actively working when I'm out of town, there's always work that could be done or that I should be doing or things that are weighing on me that I'm not doing. So what was different about this trip is I chose to work not at all, including the podcast episode. I had recorded that before I left and it was all ready to be released. So I got as much as I could done ahead of time and I didn't work. And so this is what we are going to talk about on this week's episode is what has happened since I got home and what came out of all the non-working. You know, you go on a trip like that and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have so much inspiration and insights. And let me tell you, I didn't. And that's what I'm going to talk about on this week's episode, that me taking 12 days off didn't actually have the result or the effect that I expected. And I share what actually unfolded and where I am now. So without further ado, here's this week's episode. Welcome, everybody. I am so happy to be back with the microphone. And I was also so happy to have a couple weeks off from the microphone. So after I returned from my vacation where I didn't work at all, 12 days, that was like a really long time for me to be gone. And get this, and this is so interesting, I actually moved my return flight twice. And Southwest is a magical airline. Southwest, you can sponsor my podcast. I love Southwest. I have the Southwest credit card. I just really love that airline. That's just my personal opinion. And they let me change my flight without having to pay extra. It actually worked out because originally my return flight was like at a certain time. It was like in the afternoon. And then they had changed it twice on me so that it was leaving at like 8 in the morning. And I didn't deal with it. But then kind of toward the end of the trip, I was realizing I wasn't ready to return home yet. And so I called and Southwest just let me change my flight to a later date without any extra cost. How cool was that? It really aligned. So that was the first thing, was that it took me honestly about 5 days before I felt like I actually switched to vacation mode. 5 days, guys. And it was so interesting because I was reading, I was relaxing, I wasn't working, and yet I still felt this like tension inside of me, this inability to release, to let go of the grip, the holding, the tightness. And I've always had this. It usually takes me a day or 3 to unwind for a vacation, but it's never taken me this long. And that's twofold. One, I think it's because so much has gone on this year that there's a lot that my body, right, and my energy and my mind is holding on to. And two, I haven't really it's been a year since I've been on an actual vacation. I had 2 scheduled at the beginning of this year that I didn't go on. So those are 2 factors where I'm like, I think you have to practice relaxing. So I've spent 7 months just in this energetic kind of worry, fear, stress, try to chill out, but always having work to do. It's just a weird space. And so I was really aware that even though I was on vacation, I was not feeling that sense of relaxation. And then one day, I felt the switch flip. And it was this beautiful day. We actually went out to a restaurant. We were in Block Island, which is this tiny little island off the coast of Rhode Island in the East Coast. And we went to this restaurant and we sat outside. We were there early too. There was no one around. It was quite lovely, right on the bay. And I ordered a martini with my 2 cousins. And I don't know if you guys follow us on Instagram. We have a joint Instagram account called Cocktailers. So at Cocktailers on Instagram, where we post all of our cocktails that we make and consume. So the 3 of us, Cocktailers, we ordered dirty martinis. And Sherry and I then also ordered oysters. And we added the oyster brine to our martini. Oh my God, this should be a thing. It was so good. And then, because I love oysters, and then I ordered the best lobster roll in the world. So good. It's not one of those ones with mayonnaise. Like, I'm not down with that. This is a hot lobster roll on this hot buttered bun with butter, and it was so good. And then I ordered like a crisp IPA to go with that. And then after dinner, God, it was just so good. I'm just picturing the whole meal. If you follow me on Instagram at Dana_Evans, you will have seen those photos. Then we got ice cream and then went home. And interestingly, I really didn't sleep well that night because I ate way too much food. And I didn't take a walk afterward, which we were doing evening walks. So I didn't sleep great. But the next day, I was like, that was it. I flipped the switch to vacation mode. And you know what followed vacation mode switch? My beach hair showed up and it was wavy and lovely and I didn't have to do anything with it and it was all beachy. And this was so amazing to actually witness the moment where I switched from not vacation mode to vacation mode. But that was 6 days into the trip by the time that actually happened. And my trip was, I don't know, that was on a Wednesday. We're supposed to leave on Friday. So then Kim and I, my cousin, decided to stay an extra night. And so we found a place. It was Labor Day weekend. We were lucky to find a place for one extra night. So we stayed Friday night. Then we took the ferry home Saturday morning and had a total chill day. And then I decided to not come back until Monday. And the cool thing was, on Saturday when I was back, I had 2 awarenesses. The first was, I'm glad I didn't fly home today like I was supposed to. And the second was, I actually am looking forward to going home. And I thought, this was my inner voice kind of guiding me of what I need. I'm not ready yet, but I'm actually feeling excited to go home. Because let's face it, people, we need a vacation from the responsibilities and routines of our daily lives. Can we get an amen? I love my husband. I love my cat. I love my home. I love cooking. But you know what? I need a break from that. I need to break out of the routines of daily life, especially in this time of COVID where every freaking thing is so routine. It's like, you get into these rhythms, you're both home, it becomes very rhythmic. And there's a lot of beauty in that. And also, that can often stifle creativity. And I had so many little things pop up during this trip where I was like, yeah, I need to break up my routine. Even the coffee I drank. So normally I drink black coffee every morning. And I was, before this trip, drinking almost exclusively decaf. And then on the trip, I had regular coffee. What? And it's funny. This is like story time. So I'm just like catching you guys up on my life. And also there's a lot of lessons woven in. So I hope this is helpful and entertaining. But it started because the coffee that we had originally was just Starbucks medium roast pre-ground, and to me it didn't taste very great because I drink Sweet Bloom. But we also had local Block Island honey and this delicious Elmhurst is the brand cashew milk. Can I get sponsors on my podcast yet? I will share all the brands I love. I love this Elmhurst milk. You guys, you can get it at Sprouts or online. They have walnut milk, cashew milk, almond milk, and it's just nuts and water. And it's so good. So as a way to kind of make the coffee taste better, I added honey and cashew milk. And then not only did it make the coffee taste better, but I was in love. I'm this is the best thing ever. This is vacation coffee. There we go, mixing things up. And that just felt really nice. And my routines of what I did in the morning, I was going out to the beach in the morning and getting my feet in the water and walking. And, it's just different. And then going to bed, we were basically going to bed around 8:30 and I was waking up around 7. It's just nice, okay? Shifting things, breaking up routines. So that had me thinking what can I do at home, right? When I'm home, if I don't have opportunity to travel, because who knows what's going to happen this fall, how can I still break up my routines without leaving, right? Without leaving my city, my state. So that's something that you can kind of ask yourself as well is how can I mix things up when I'm home? I think we get so attached to routines, but they do stifle creativity because our brains know what to expect. And so we kind of get lulled a little bit into some complacency. And just being out on this trip, I had different awareness of myself. And then, of course, being alone. I was there with my 2 cousins and my aunt, and we just have the best time together. It jives so well. But I also had a ton of alone time. And that is something, again, I live with my husband. And even though we do have quite a bit of separate time, I think it just felt different. Something was different about being away physically from him. And that was really helpful for me. And I had some little things pop up, awareness about myself, what I need, what I want, what I'm doing, where I'm stuck, why I haven't been feeling creative. All of that was really wonderful. So I came home and I thought, man, I took 12 days off and I am just going to feel so inspired. And what happened? I didn't feel inspired. I felt exhausted. And the week I came home was Labor Day week, and I didn't work at all. I binged books. I was just reading all of this woman's books. Why? Because they were a psychological thriller, and they were just totally whisking me away. I didn't feel like watching TV, and I hadn't watched any the whole time I was gone. So I didn't feel like that, but I really was just loving reading this book. All of them. She has 4, and I've read 3 of the 4 of them. And so I was well, this is interesting. Okay, maybe I just need a recovery from the trip. And I had my period, so that's more of a downtime anyway. And then this week hit. And I was like, oh man, now what's happening? I switched from reading the books to watching The Home Edit on Netflix. Okay. Do you guys remember when Marie Kondo's Tidying Up came out on Netflix and how like everyone went crazy? Well, that just happened to me again with The Home Edit. It's two women who they help you organize your home. It's pretty straightforward. But I watched a ton of episodes, and then one day I was like, I need to organize our house. It was on Saturday. And so I just went for it. And I did my bathroom under the sink. I did the linen closet. I did the other linen closet. I am actually currently sitting in my closet with clothes all around. I have like the giveaway pile, the throwaway pile, the sell pile, and then like the Marie Kondo style folded pile. And this deep desire to purge and organize and clear. And that's when it hit me. Every time this happens to me, because it does happen, I just follow it because I know that when I have that urge to organize and purge, it means I'm creating space for something else in usually my business, but in your life in general. And it's just this external way of dealing with stuff. And what is the phrase is, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So what you can do though is actually manage your outer world to help create space for your inner world. So I've been going crazy. If you follow my Instagram, like the only inspiration I have to post lately is food, my cat, and organization. And it's really satisfying to do. It's satisfying to show. And it's also part of my launch recovery process. And that was another realization I had. Instead of being like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have energy after my launch? What am I doing wrong? Am I ever going to be inspired again? How can I share? Why did I shut down? You have all these questions running through your head when your energy changes significantly, right? You don't have to launch to have that, but you might suddenly feel very drained or very down. I've been feeling very down. I've had a lot of crying and outbursts and temper tantrums, as I call them. And it dawned on me that this is all part of the process. This is part of like my launch recovery plan. In order for me to be outward facing and that energized for a month, I need like a month off. Alicia Keys is also a projector from Human Design, and her book, More Me, she shares how she now demands 2 weeks of solo time built in at the beginning and at the end of her tour. And I was like, okay, be like Alicia Keys. So this is just such a great contemplation is whenever you're feeling like you're different, right? Oh, I'm so tired all the time. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why? Consider asking a different question. And the question is, what is my body trying to communicate? I've been sleeping like 11 hours. And to me, all of this coming together as I'm looking at all of the pieces, I'm like, oh, this is my body shedding, right? Clearing emotion, clearing physical stuff. And when you're doing that much purging, it's energetically tiring and you need rest. And so I've been resting, I've been sleeping, I've been working many fewer hours each day because all of this is, in my belief, conspiring in my favor. So yes, I feel like 100% 180 from when I was launching a month ago, but I also know that this is part of the process. We have to shed. It's part of the growth process. And the interesting thing about my desire to basically all I want to do is read, organize, and like do self-reflection right now. The interesting thing about that is I think that doing this inner work that we do, like doing the inner voice work, asking the better questions, journaling, contemplating, meditating, all of that stuff is like the organizing, right? It's like taking your giant box of loose spices and putting them all into clean jars with labels. We got to sort through the emotions. We have to sort through the thoughts and our beliefs. We have to see, oh, is this a belief? Look, this spice expired in 2014. Do I still want to hold this spice in my spice jar? No, it loses its fragrance. It loses its flavor. It loses everything. And beliefs are the same way. Like, this belief, do you still want to hold on to it? For me, it's simply like, after the last 7 months, like, do I still want to hold on to this? My body is finally ready after all that we've gone through in the last 7 months. My body is finally ready to purge it, to clear it, to let go of it, to make space for something else. To make space. I don't know what I'm making space for. All I know is that when I'm guided to do this type of clearing from my inner voice, I trust now to follow it, because time and time again, it has served me very, very well. And I encourage you to explore that in yourself. What are you craving to do? Even if it's sitting on the couch, I'm serious. What do you feel this overwhelming desire to do? And it may feel out of character for you. That's the thing, habits and routines. Well, I do this. I wake up at this time. I do this. We get so attached to this identity of who you think you are that when something pops up that feels out of alignment with who you are, we try to dismiss it and push it away because we're like, well, that's not me. I don't do that. But what if you did do that? What is being asked of you by this inclination to do something different? And what are you making it mean? Right? I could say that last week that I did nothing. That means I'm lazy, that I didn't get anything out of my vacation, because how could I come home from such a great vacation, not have any inspiration, and be tired? But instead, I chose the belief of, well, I don't have to do that much right now. I don't have to do that much right now, so I'm going to take advantage of that and go with the slowing down. And the funny thing is, my friends, this is the exact same place I was at the beginning of quarantine. Right when it hit, I went into like a 4-week lull. I couldn't do anything. And all I kept hearing every time I asked my inner voice, what should I do? What should I do? It would say, rest is best. Breathe and receive. And I've shared this on another podcast episode that 4 weeks of rest prepared me for 6 months of going, go, which is all I've been doing. Everyone who I talk to, which is funny, people who I run into offline, which is so rare these days, they're like, oh man, you've been busy. I'm like, oh, how can you tell? And somehow that was clearly communicated. And so then that pinnacle of all of that was my launch. And guess what? Just like the leaves fall off the trees at the end of fall, right? We are cyclical. So I can have that outward energy for, it was a long time, and then I'm going back inward, right? Return to self. Return to self. I turned off the podcast. I turned off the noise. I'm not even reading books that are like business books. I'm just returning to me. Because we can lose our identities when we're so caught up in what everyone else is doing and our old identity. So by turning to self, by allowing the rest, by just reading pleasure books, by reducing the overall work that I'm outputting, I know that I'm preparing the bed, right? Preparing the flower bed for what's next. I've been wanting to design my house. I ordered a new rug. I'm getting a new table. All of these things are just coming out of me. This desire to design, to create, to hone in on my space. Because I know that this is where I'll be spending a lot of time. And creativity comes, for me at least, from having a space that I just love. And it all is moving together. And I just want to offer that to you is, where is this coming up in your life? if it's coming up right now? Or can you look back or look forward at, have you noticed these shifts where it feels like this isn't you, but you're having this urge to do something? And what happens if you follow it? And more importantly, what are you afraid will happen, or what are you afraid it will mean if you follow it? Are you afraid you're going to be lazy? Are you afraid, you won't be able to make money? Are you afraid your friends are going to be mad at you because you're not doing Zoom calls with them every week? And then question that, and then communicate that. Because ultimately, we have to return to ourselves, right? We have to come back to the cocoon. We have to come back so that we can reform and enter the world again. And this is part of our life as humans. But I see it so strongly everywhere, including in my own conditioning, is we just think it's not okay that you have to wake up and just go until you sleep, and that we can't ebb and flow with our energy. And to me, that just feels so sad, because just like feeling sad is part of feeling happy, having no energy is part of having all of the energy. It's all important. We have to experience the extremes in order to know the balance. And it's okay to do that in the best way that you can. I mean, your life is different than my life, but it doesn't mean it's any less accessible for you to start to honor how you feel. It might be in a smaller way, but there are always ways for us to take those things into account. And in fact, I was listening to Kate Northrup today, and she said, yeah, my mom, when she was younger, she's like, my mom had a full-time practice. She was birthing babies. She had 2 kids. She's like, so yeah, she couldn't just like choose to do less work, because she can't be like, I'm not going to deliver that baby today. I'm having a me day. No, but she said her mom could decide to do things like walk a little slower into the hospital. Sit down and take an extra 2 minutes before leaving the house. So I know I'm sharing kind of an extreme with you, but that just happens to be my life. But really ask yourself and think, how does this look in your life? How could this look? What if you didn't set your alarm one day? What if you slept in an extra 30 minutes when you truly felt you need the sleep? What are you afraid will go wrong? What if you press the easy button? This is something I've been practicing. And so you all know I love to cook. This week, okay, I didn't grocery shop on Sunday. And then we picked up Chipotle on Sunday night. And on Monday night, I was like, I don't have it in me to grocery shop, and we don't have any food. And so I picked up delicious little noodle bowl from a local ramen place, and we ate it. And I was so happy. I was like, oh, this is the easy button, right? What does the easy button look like for you? I heard that someone I follow on Instagram, Emily Schumann, when she wants like 30 minutes to an hour to herself, she actually sets up a Zoom call with her mom and her daughter. So mom is like virtual babysitting, and the daughter freaking loves her grandma. So she like chats to the grandma, and Emily Schumann can like take a bath, paint her nails, catch up on emails, whatever she wants. But she created like a virtual babysitting. I was like, oh my God, that's such a great idea. So like, where can we give ourselves a little slack instead of flack and push the easy button so that you can get some more time back? Now I'm doing a rap. Right? Where can we do that? We have such flipping high expectations of ourselves, and we think the worst case scenario, right, is going to happen if we don't do the thing. And, I love doing and creating, but I love to do it when I have the energy to do it. It's so hard for me to do it when I'm dragging. And so where can you give yourself some slack? Push the easy button. Could you order a meal? I mean, even Chipotle. Like, Chipotle is really economically friendly, right? Cost-wise. You get a lot of food for a really good price. Or could you lean on a friend and say, hey, can you make me a meal? I mean, wow, that's vulnerable, right? Asking for help. But that's something too. And ordering Green Chef, right? Where everything's already pre-portioned so you don't have to go to the grocery store. Doing Amazon delivery for your groceries so that you don't have to go to the grocery store. Like the little ways that you can buy yourself time and then not fill that time with tasks, but fill it with something that's going to help you feel okay. Just be yourself. So those are my contemplations. I think we went on like a little train ride today, but all I want to remind you to come back to like this organizing theme and this inner work, right? Inner work often takes space. So that's why I'm advocating like pressing the easy button sometimes so that you can get some space back in your life, in your day. But it is so easy to gloss over, right? And you just tidy at the surface level. Like it's easy for me to just shove all my clothes into drawers and stuff them in there and close the drawer because then everything looks good, right? Everything looks good on the surface. But you know what's inside that drawer. You feel the struggle when you open that drawer and it can't close all the way, or you can't freaking find the one shirt that you're looking for and it's stressful and you're trying to get out the door and you can't find it. And you also know the feeling of opening the drawer and being able to see everything organized. Like my spices, I used them today. I was like, oh my God, this just changed my life. I can read what spices are there. Like it's so clear and easy to see, and I just feel a sense of relief. And when you do the inner work, when you ask yourself these questions, when you check in with your inner voice, right? When you take those minutes to yourself each day, instead of giving them away to anyone and everyone who asks, you're doing the inner work. And the beauty is when you do this inner work, you get the joy of opening the cupboard and opening the drawer that's organized and admiring the beauty. Other people don't have to see it. I don't organize my spices so when guests come over, they can compliment my spice rack. They're not even going to see it. I don't organize the drawers in my closet for John. I do it because I get the sense of satisfaction when I open the drawer. I know the progress. I know what happens when I release clothing that I don't want, when I make space, when I leave shelves open. Because that is creating energetic space to attract what I truly want. And that is the merging of the inner work, right, with this type of organization and purging. You're the one who benefits. This is not for show, my friends. This is for you, for your happiness, for your joy, for your creation of what you want and attracting that into your life. And just to bring it all together, we often think that all you need is to get away, right? What do I need? What do I need? I just need a break. I need to get away. I need to go on vacation. And I'll tell you, my vacation was amazing, but it wasn't until I came home that I started doing more of this inner work, right? Both in my home and in myself, that I started to feel the shift from feeling kind of down to feeling a little more inspired and having clarity on what was actually going on. So it's nice to take a break. It's nice to escape. It's amazing to change locations, but there's also plenty that we can do and be and explore right in our homes if we can't leave. And sometimes that's really the greatest benefit of all, is being home and exploring the depths of what that truly means. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here for season 2 of the Tuning In podcast. I am so grateful for you. I will keep you updated. Follow my Instagram stories for more of my house projects because I'm just so inspired by that right now. And I will speak to you next week. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or find me on my website at alignful.com.